Alright everyone, I am here to give you my WWE Monday Night Raw review for March 2nd, 2015. We get JBL, Michael Cole, and Booker T on commentary. I forgot the R in Booker T, but whatever. And Seth Rollins comes out and he cuts a promo, but before he does that, they show footage of The Daily Show. And it shows Seth Rollins on it. He invaded the show. And it was actually pretty awesome. I thought it was badass when he invaded the show. I'm not really going to talk about what he did because the video's on YouTube, so you can just check it out for yourself. But he pretty much tells Jon Stewart to come to Raw tonight. But Seth Rollins is talking about how great he is, how he out-talked Jon Stewart, how he's a better athlete than Michael Jordan. All this stuff, pretty much saying he's the greatest shit ever. And he also came out there with J&J Security, which consists of Jamie Noble and Joey Mercury. And then Roman Reigns comes out. So I guess Roman Reigns really wasn't suspended. It was all a rumor. I kind of had a feeling because when I was reading that website, that did not seem like it was legit. I'm not going to lie. But Roman Reigns comes out. He says that Seth Rollins is being hilarious. And he talks about how, yeah, he even said he could out-eat Mark Henry. That was awesome. And JBL was like, I find that hard to believe. That was awesome. And Roman Reigns pretty much says that, and Seth Rollins tells Roman Reigns he can't beat Brock Lesnar. And he said that he can. And Roman Reigns says, well, how come, well, you had your chance at the Royal Rumble when you failed. And then Seth Rollins pretty much tells Roman Reigns that he can cash in the Money in the Bank anytime. He can cash it in at Mania after you or Lesnar are exhausted. He can cash it in the night after. Or he can just buy his time and wait out as long as he wants. Well, not really, because he only has until like June to cash it in. And then Roman Reigns says, well, why don't you cash it in and actually tonight on Lesnar? And then Roman Reigns pretty much tells Seth Rollins he's going to deck him in the face. And he does. And then he Superman punches Jamie Noble and spears Joey Mercury. And that was it. I thought this was good stuff. I thought it was fine. And then Seth Rollins and J&J Security were backstage. And Seth Rollins is angry at them because they didn't do a good enough job taking him out. And Randy Orton comes up and says, and tells Seth Rollins, hey, if I were you, I would go march right into the authority's office, which is Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, and ask for a match with Roman Reigns, because I believed everything you said out there. Pretty much manipulated him. And Seth Rollins says he doesn't need that. He already proven that he's the greatest athlete, so he says he's not going to do it. Eventually he does. They do announce the match for later. So then we get Dean Ambrose versus Bad News Barrett. And Dean Ambrose is still holding hostage Bad News Barrett's Intercontinental Championship. And we got R-Truth on commentary for this match. This was actually good stuff. The match itself, at first, was just average. But then the match picked up really towards the end. Bad News Barrett shoves R-Truth. And then Dean Ambrose starts going off on Bad News Barrett. He dives through the ropes on him. He does a he does like a springboard off the apron elbow to B&B, and then eventually Bad News Barrett gets the upper hand. He's gonna hit the bull hammer on him. Well, actually, as he does that, when they're outside the ring, I forgot to mention that R-Truth sneaks over and again steals Bad News Barrett's Intercontinental Championship. And then Bad News Barrett's getting ready to go for the victory. And then Luke Harper creeps up. And R-Truth was like, there's a white guy behind me, isn't there? So then he looks at Luke Harper. He's trying to talk to JBL, though, and he's trying to hand JBL the title. And JBL's like, I don't know you. I'm pretending you're not here. That was awesome. So R-Truth just willingly gives Harper the title, and Harper walks off with it. And JBL was like, why would you just give up the championship like that? And then R-Truth was like, the reason he said he did this was He was like, "Don't you watch The Walking Dead? Don't you see what the walkers do to the humans?" That was awesome. R-Truth has been awesome lately. On SmackDown, he was awesome, and on Raw tonight. And JBL was like, JBL had like no clue what R-Truth was talking about, but it was just awesome stuff. R-Truth is just nailing it with this stuff. And Luke Harper walks off though, and Bad News Barrett sees this, realizes his title is being taken from him, and then Dean Ambrose hits Dirty Deeds on Bad News Barrett for the win, and then he has a face-off with R-Truth, ask him where the Intercontinental Championship is, and they did announce that since R-Truth is going to be in that ladder match for B&B at WrestleMania for B&B's title, and I'm assuming Dean Ambrose is going to be in it, but the only confirmed participants right now in this portion of the show are Bad News Barrett because he's the champion, and R-Truth. And then a crap load of wrestlers are backstage. They're gonna it's like a bunch of tag teams and some jobbers and stuff like that. People don't even see anymore. And The Miz and Damien Mizdow are backstage, and The Miz is gonna show his like new commercial that he has. And Damien Mizdow tells him not to. I'm wanting to suggest you do it, but Miz doesn't listen. So he does it anyways. And it shows like this product that pretty much makes it not want to have Miz's face. And Mizdow just says his line that he said in the commercial that he was saying on SmackDown. And the Miz gets upset about this. He thinks that Damien Mizdow is trying to take his position after everything he's done for him. He just goes off on Mizdow, saying that he would be nothing without the Miz. He would be fired from the WWE. I thought that was great stuff. And the Miz slaps him, and Mizdow orders Mizdow to apologize, and he does. So they're still teasing the breakup between Miz and Mizdow. I think it's great stuff. And there's really nothing else I can really say about that. I was kind of hoping that Mizdow was going to attack him, but Mizdow forces him to apologize, and Mizdow does. Kind of disappointed he didn't attack him, though. So then Bray Wyatt comes out to cut a promo, and I was thinking, why isn't he just doing this backstage? But there's a reason why I guess he doesn't. And he talks about The Undertaker. He says he doesn't have the same fear as, the same stuff he's been saying. He doesn't have the same fear as him. Says he used to be the Phenom. He used to be the Dead Man. But now he's nothing. And he said he even bought something for him, a casket. And he said that he's still waiting for his challenge. And he said, and then he brings gasoline. And he said that fire destroys everything. And it has no emotion, just like him. And then he lights the casket on fire. And JBL was like, and symbolizing that's what he's going to do to Undertaker at Mania. And then he says, find me. I thought this was pretty good stuff. They're really building up Bray Wyatt hard here for this match. This match was awful. Cesaro, Tyson Kidd, and Natalya versus Jimmy and Jay, the Usos, and Naomi. The Usos try to kick Tyson Kidd in the face, but he tags in Natalya, and the woman can only fight each other. And Natalya gets upset because she's like injured, and Naomi rolls her up for the win. It was pretty terrible. And then they play another Sheamus video package announcing his return. This video package looked heelish. It looked like he's coming back as a heel, but I'm not really sure about that. And then John Cena comes out to cut a promo. He talked about how if you're a John Cena hater, this is a good time to be because Rusev made him pass out, and since he can't go after Rusev for his U.S. title, he's at WrestleMania, and that's what he wants to be in. Everybody fights to be in Mania, and that's where he wants to be. And he says he's fine with that. He's going to pick up his shoot. He's going to pick himself up and dust off and start again. And he announces that he's going to be in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. And he said he's going to win the whole thing. And then Stephanie McMahon comes out, and she says, she's like, John, what makes you what makes you have the right that you can just announce you can be in any match, especially at the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal? And John Cena says, well, most people do that to get in the match. And he's like, they even have Adam Rose in the match. He pretty much buries Adam Rose. And Stephanie McMahon says that this is going to be a disgrace, that Andre the Giant was was an inspiration to her, and it shows a picture of her when she was 8 years old, when Andre the Giant was holding her. And then John Cena says that that picture there, the only thing that's good about that picture is you weren't as much of a bitch as you are now. And then Stephanie McMahon says that I may be a bitch, but I always get the last say. And John Cena says, and Stephanie McMahon talks about how she gets to say whether or not John Cena gets to be in Mania. And John Cena says, if you're going to keep me out of Mania, then you might as well. And then she says, what? Just because we don't have one WrestleMania without John Cena isn't going to be the end of the WWE. I mean, we've survived without Hulk Hogan, without Stone Cold Steve Austin, without The Rock. We'll survive. The question is the WWE really doesn't need John Cena. The question is, does the WWE need John Cena, or does John Cena need the WWE? But there is a way John Cena can get into Mania. The only way he can get into Mania is if Rusev changes his mind to face John Cena at WrestleMania, which I think is actually a pretty good idea. So I have a feeling John Cena is going to do something that's going to make Rusev accept either next week or the week after that. And then Curtis Axel comes out and says that, talks about how he's been in the Royal Rumble match for like 32 days and 29 seconds or something, and 29 minutes or something, and counting. And he says that Axel Menio's won and wild. And he says that he wants to be the one to face Rusev, because he feels like, because he's second generation, he feels like he deserves it. And Stephanie McMahon agrees, but John Cena, so he makes a match right now between Cena and Axel, and that John Cena tells Axel that if you wrestle me in this match tonight, you're not gonna walk out of here. So they have the match. Axel's doing a bunch of Hulk Hogan stuff. He tears off his T-shirt. He does the Hulk Hogan poses, because that's what Axelmania is. And then John Cena attacks him, and then when Axel's up. Because Hulk's up, but I'm calling it Axel's up. And instead of pointing at you, he points at the Mania sign, but then Cena takes his head off, hits the attitude adjustment and the STF, and Axel taps out for the win. Then afterwards, Rusev comes out and says he's still not going to face John Cena at WrestleMania. So I wonder what John Cena is going to have to do to get Rusev to change his mind. I am looking forward to seeing that. Then the Russian flag comes down. This actually I thought was all good stuff. Alright, so now Triple H comes out to cut a promo. A lot of promos on this show. And he talks about how when he came into the WWE in 1995, he asked Vince McMahon for an opportunity. And he says 13 World Championships, and now he's the COO. I think he's made the most out of his opportunity. And he offered Sting that same opportunity at Fastlane, but instead he chose to have him face him at Mania. And now he said he's going to beat up Sting so bad it's going to be like he never came to the WWE. And then people were like, and then he started asking why. Why did Sting not want to come here to the WWE? He had an open door anytime he wanted to. Why do you want to? And people said, there's different speculations. I have mine, and then he talks about how people have theirs, and then he points to Booker T. And before this segment, like literally just before, Booker T was saying on commentary that he thinks that Triple H was keeping Sting from coming to the WWE. So he invites Booker T in the ring, and Booker T says it's true because you run the company, you could have been keeping him out so that way you didn't have to face Sting. And Triple H talks about how he's going to take down the franchise at WCW, saying that he's going to end this war. And Booker T says, you can't control Sting. I couldn't. Hulk Hogan couldn't. Ric Flair couldn't. The NWO, which had like many millions of wrestlers in it. Even Eric Bischoff couldn't control Sting. And Triple H said, well, if I couldn't control Sting, why would that keep him from coming to the WWE? Was it because he didn't want to come to the WWE? So, yeah, that was really about it. I thought this was a good segment. And then Triple H says, "Thank you for giving your opinion. You did great opinion." And then he tells Booker T that he's fired. So Booker T is all shocked. He grabs his stuff and goes to leave. And Triple H says, "You're not fired. I like what you do. You could go to the commentary team. I just wanted to show what control was like." And he said that's the type of control that he's going to do this stint at Mania. And then that was it. I thought this was a great segment, though. At first, it was just a typical Triple H segment. I thought it was going to be. But then adding Booker T definitely helped this segment. I thought this was great. So then we get Nikki Bella with her sister Brie Bella, and she's defending the Divas Championship against Paige. I didn't really care for this match. I mean, it was an okay match. Actually, I'm not going to say that. It was an okay match. The crowd really didn't care about the match until Paige got a comeback in. Paige is about to beat Nikki with the submission move. Brie attacks her, which causes the DQ, but Nikki retained because the title can't change hands off countouts or disqualifications. The Bellas start to beat her down, and then AJ Lee makes a return. I actually am surprised to see AJ Lee back because last week her and Stephanie McMahon had a dispute over Twitter, so I'm surprised to see that she's back. But she returns, and AJ Lee and Paige fight off the Bella Twins, and then AJ Lee gets interviewed backstage, and she said that she's sick and tired of seeing the Bella Twins bully everyone. And then she says, and Paige says, then she says that Paige is her friend since they have the same enemy. That's pretty much the gist of it. And then we get what the title of this video is, and what the thumbnail of this video is. The Daily Show with Seth Rollins. This was definitely the highlight of the night. I loved this segment. I actually did see the Daily Show once with one of my friends that lives a couple streets away from me. So I think it's a decent show. But it's only Seth Rollins in the ring, and he talks about how New York sucks. Well, New Jersey sucks. And then he says, let's talk about the first topic. Where's Jon Stewart? He talks a big game, but he's actually not here. And then he makes a bunch of jokes talking about how no American went to see his movie he directed. It was as quiet as when he was hosting the Oscars last year. Really good stuff. And then Jon Stewart finally shows. And he talks about how he's Seth Rollins' friend. He wants to help him, but he doesn't. But he said that Seth Rollins is just the poster boy. People are gonna get sick of him, and he said he didn't earn his spot in the company. Like people like Bruno Sammartino, Luthez, Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and The Undertaker. And he said that the authority doesn't care about him because if they did, he would be in the title match at Mania, and Reigns and Lesnar wouldn't. Which is a good point. I mean, I'm assuming one of them would be, but it is a good point. And he said that all you're going to have after, no matter who wins that match at Mania, is that briefcase, which isn't even yours, it's Kane's. So then Seth Rollins gets pissed. He says, you don't know what it's like to be me. He goes to attack him. Randy Orton comes out and, as Seth Rollins is distracted, Jon Stewart low blows him and takes off. I thought it was great stuff. Jon Stewart, I thought, was awesome here. To be honest with you, I thought this was going to be crap, but this ended up being pretty good. And originally, I wasn't enjoying this feud between Rollins and Stewart, but I actually thought now that I saw this the Daily Show segment with Jon Stewart on it, Rollins with this, I thought actually this feud ended up turning pretty good. I think it got Seth Rollins over a little bit. It gave him some mainstream popularity, and I think that's exactly what they needed. I definitely thought this was awesome stuff. Alright, so then Jon Stewart gets interviewed backstage, and he's afraid Seth Rollins is going to come up, and he said, I don't know, this actually I wasn't really a fan of, but I guess he's not going to be doing the Daily Show either, because I think it's on a season break or something, so, yeah. So then we get Luke Harper, who still has BMB's Intercontinental Championship, versus Daniel Bryan. This was an awesome match. I really enjoyed it. Harper right away just hit a boot right into Bryan's face. And Harper just attacks him. He body slams him over the top rope. Bryan kicks the ropes in his face. Harper rams Bryan's head right into the turnbuckle, and then he hits like a back like suplex on him, and Bryan lands right on his head. That looked really awful. I think Bryan got hurt right there too, but Bryan was able to kick out. I actually didn't think he was going to. I thought Bryan got like knocked out or something. And then Harper tries to powerbomb him, but Bryan kind of botched it because he was trying to roll him up, but I think Bryan was like a little bit winded, like knocked out or something after the neckbreaker. After that, he definitely hurt himself right there. But Bryan still was able to roll him up. Harper kicked out, and then Harper gets Bryan in the 6 submission move with like a crossface, like a kind of like the I don't even know what it's called. But then Bryan turns it into the yes lock. Harper taps out. Bryan wins. And then he starts doing the S chant on the announce table. And then Bad News Barrett comes out, takes back his title. But then Ambrose fights with Barrett. Ambrose takes out Barrett with his rebound clothesline. He takes back, and he goes to take back the IC title. Harper hit big boots Ambrose. He walks out with the he holds the title like he's exhausted. And then R-Truth comes out and grabs it with him. But then Harper has a face off with them. And R-Truth just gives him the title because he's intimidated by him. And then Harper takes out Truth with a clothesline. Harper starts to walk out with the title. And then Ziggler super kicks Harper when he's on the stage. And then Dolph Ziggler now has hostage of the Intercontinental Championship. This was all good stuff. I really enjoyed it. So I think these are going to be the guys that are going to be in the ladder match. Truth and Barrett are already confirmed, but it's going to probably be Ziggler, Daniel Bryan, and Harper. I think they're all going to be in it, and I think that should be sick. I want to see somebody, though, like a Kofi Kingston or a Sin Cara get in it, because I want to see some high spots, and I think they could provide the high spots needed for this ladder match. But it doesn't look like they're going to be in it. That would be so cool if they were. If Kofi Kingston was a singles wrestler, he definitely would have been in it. So then we get the next inductee into the 2015 Hall of Fame, and it's going to be Alundra Blaze. They played a nice little video package for her, and we find out that she went to the AWA, and she's a former, or no, NWA, or one of those two, I forget which one, but she's a former NWA Women's Champion, which stands for National Wrestling Alliance, and then she went to the WWE, which was called the WWF at the time, World Wrestling Federation, and she won 3 women's championships. She was the first woman to defend the title in like a decade. People like Beth Phoenix and AJ Lee were talking about how she made that title really memorable and stuff. And then the one main thing that I know her for, the famous thing that she's really known for, is when she went on, when she left the WWF, went to WCW, which stands for World Championship Wrestling, and dumped the walked in with the title, Women's Championship, and dumped it in the trash on Monday Nitro. That was awesome. That's the one famous thing that she's really known for. And people like Daniel Bryan and Paul Heyman were talking about it. That was great stuff. So I'm happy she's going in. Surprised she hasn't got in yet. The Hall of Fame class, I think, looks good. It doesn't look as good as I think the previous years, but it looks decent. At least they get Macho Man Randy Savage, and I think that's all I kind of really care about. So then Seth Rollins and J&J Security are backstage again, and Randy Orton comes up and asks why Randy Orton did what he did. And Randy Orton says he did what he did because he was helping out Seth Rollins, because then if he had attacked Stewart, Stewart would have sued him for everything, all the money that he doesn't have, and then he could have lost his job, all that stuff. So that's why he helped him. And Randy Orton tells him, if you need any help in your match later with Reigns, I'm your guy. But Big Show and Corporate Kane come up and they say, we got your back, Rollins. And then Jamie Noble says, it looks like we're not going to need you. This gets used later on. And then Paul Heyman's cutting a promo. And then the first thing he says is, well, after he says, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, like the normal stuff, is, yes, the rumors are true. And Brock Lesnar, and I thought he was going to say is going to the UFC, but he said is going to be at WrestleMania. So, and he talked about, he references that he was at the UFC event, but he doesn't completely say that. He says Brock Lesnar can go wherever he pleases, before or after Mania, and he's going to go to these places as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. He talks about how Roman Reigns can't beat Brock Lesnar, and that's pretty much the whole thing. He talked for a while, but that was kind of the gist of it. And he also the mic kept cutting out, so I thought something was up with this. It did it like twice at first, and then he switched mics, and I thought someone was up with this, but it wasn't. Then Roman Reigns comes out, and Paul Heyman walks to the back. And then we get the main event. It's Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins with J&J Security, Big Show, and Corporate Kane and ringside. Decent match, but this is probably the worst match they've had, though, not gonna lie. But this was good, but this is the worst match they've definitely had. Roman Reigns is just pretty much owning Seth Rollins, and then Seth Rollins hits a drop kick, gets the upper hand, and then J&J Security try to attack Reigns, but he powers out of it, and Rollins goes to dive on Reigns, but Reigns counters with the right hand. Reigns goes to charge Rollins in the corner, but he goes shoulder first into the win post. And then Randy Orton comes out, his theme buttons hits and everything, and then he stands out there, but he doesn't stand where the authority is. He stands where just by himself, and Rollins starts dominating Reigns, but then Reigns makes a comeback. And then Rollins hits an enziguri on Reigns. Reigns kicks out. Reigns rolls up Rollins, but then he turns it into a powerbomb. Rollins kicks out. Rollins does the roll up into the super kick. Reigns kicks out. And then he takes out Joey Mercury when he tried to go for the Superman punch. And then he goes off the second rope and takes out Jamie Noble with the clothesline. He accidentally takes out Big Show with the clothesline, and behind the referee's back, Corporate Kane hits Reigns with the chair, and Reigns kicks out of it, and then Reigns hits a Superman punch on Kane, I think, and then the referee gets distracted by one of the security members, and then Randy Orton pulls Reigns' leg, and Rollins rolls up Reigns for the win. So I was surprised Rollins went over here, and Orton helps him when they all start walking to the back, but then Reigns dives on the authority, except for Orton. He's already gone at this point, and Reigns takes out everybody. He spears Kane, he spears Big Show, and then Rollins tries to go off the top, and Reigns spears him in midair, and that's how the show ended, with Roman Reigns standing tall. I thought that was great. To be honest with you, I thought wrestling was actually, Raw, I thought was actually pretty good this week. I really enjoyed this show. The only thing I didn't like was the mixed tag team match. That's it. Everything else I thought was good. So that's my thoughts on Raw this week. It's still, the thing is they need to have Sting appear on the show. If they just keep doing the Triple H promos without Sting, it's going to get boring. So Sting, I think, will need to appear either next week or the week after. That's my only problems. But everything else was pretty fine. And Brock Lesnar is scheduled to show up on Raw next week. He wasn't there this week because it wasn't in his contract date. I'll admit, not having Lesnar on the show kind of is hurting this feud, but luckily we got Heyman for the promo talk, and I think next week Reigns and Lesnar are going to have a big face-to-face confrontation. This is the first time they'll come face-to-face since they had that storm back in January, so it's been like 3 months. But that was Raw this week. I'm just rambling on at this point. But if you guys like the show, leave your comments in the comments down below. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you want to subscribe and see other Raw reviews from me, you can click right there. And I'll be back. I'm going to be back later on. It's going to be at like midnight, but I'm going to be back later on and make a video. And that's pretty much it, guys. See you later.